Welcome everyone. I hope you enjoyed my guide slash run through video for Maelstrom Arena on my Magic Nightblade. So I thought I would make this guide just basically to show my character. This is what I'm running in Maelstrom Arena. These are my stats. Actually, I'll buff my spell damage. So there's my buff stats. You see, max magic is right about in the range you want. Health is pretty high, and stam's pretty high. I'll get to why that is in a minute. Spell damage is a bit low, but as you can see, I'm pushing crit. I have 78.2% crit, and I am using the Thief and the Shadow Windstone. My crit damage is really high. It's almost 2%, or sorry, 2 times. So like I mentioned in my previous guide videos, I am a vampire. It's more for PvE when you use Force Pulse instead of Swallow Soul. Alright, so let's look into the gear setup. So I'm running a Sharpened Inferno Mother's Sorrow Staff with the Weapon Damage enchant. As you can see, I'm rocking a 5-piece Mother's Sorrow, so max magic, crit, and even more crit on the 5-piece. My backup staff is a Maelstrom Inferno staff, mainly just to buff the light and heavy attack damage from Wall of Elements. Unfortunately, the best trait I have so far is defending, and that's why I've been running Maelstrom Arena so much during this double drop 2-week period. Just a quick thing about that enchantment. So in Maelstrom Arena, there's lots of times where you kill stuff very fast and then you wait for more adds to spawn. So although it gives you spell damage for 348 for 5 seconds, it then has a cooldown of 5 seconds. So with that wait period, your uptime on this spell damage enchantment is actually even more than normal because you are waiting for adds to spawn during your cooldown phase in certain situations. So usually if you're doing a straight comparison, you'd cut that spell damage in half compared to the Maelstrom spell damage. Now the other thing being the trait, I have a defending trait, which Sharpened is by far the best trait in solo content. But I just kind of wanted to point that out about the enchantments. So I'm wearing a 1-piece Kina. Just to get a bit more spell damage. Like you saw, my spell damage is quite low. And I'm wearing Twice-Born Star. So I'm wearing 5-on-1 with a heavy head and medium chest. Ideally, a heavy chest is better, it'll give you more resistance, but it's not a big deal. And I already had them golded out, so I figured why not just leave it as is. So Twice-Born Star. As you may know, you get health, stam, and magic. Some people prefer Julianos in here and they think it's a bit more balanced. I personally like to have a little bit more health and a little bit more stam. I'm a big fan of block casting and dodge rolling, so I really like that. So which pieces I'm wearing where? Mother's Sorrow, the staff, which I already showed you, and I'm wearing it on the shoulder, so that's 2, and then the rest is all jewelry. And my Twice-Born is on the rest of the pieces besides the head, which is Kina. And I'm all Divine's gear, all with Kuda enchants, and they're all golded out. For completing the arena, purple armor is fine. It's just if you really want to push performance, you obviously want it gold, especially when you're using Twice-Born Star, because the difference between 6.5% and 7.5% increased Windstone is quite a bit when you consider all 7 pieces. The other reason I really like this is it's also attainable for a lot of people. It's not Trials gear. There's Kina, but I mean, that dungeon's been nerfed so much, it's pretty easy to do now, and with you being able to trade within your group, it's much easier to get a good piece. Now if you don't have a Maelstrom Inferno staff, you can just use any other Inferno Staff, or even a Resto if you want. And you can use Healing Ward, but I personally like to just go double Destro, go for straight damage. I think the best defense is a good offense. So I'm going to take a quick look at my skills. So this is my front bar, my main damage bar. As you can see, I have 3 assassination abilities on my front bar, which is going to push my crit even higher. So these 2, Impale, Merciless Resolve, as well as Soul Harvest is an ultimate. And that's for this passive. And this one you just need 1, but that's gives you 10% crit damage. And then this one is increased crit for each ability slotted. You're going to want a siphoning on each bar for this max magic value %. So yeah, my front bar, I have my execute on my front bar, Merciless Resolve. I like to go to my front bar, like I said, increases your critical strike chance, as well as you can see when it's procced. Inner Light, Crippling Grasp, Swallow Soul. Crippling Grasp, best dot for Nightblades, and it also gives you your Expedition, increase in movement speed, which is really helpful. Swallow Soul, Funnel Health works too. Swallow Soul is going to give you 8% healing, and like I said, I run Force Pulse anyways in a group setting. So Swallow Soul is what I stick with for that morph. Going to the back bar, so I double bar Inner Light. I run Dampen Magic. Yes, Harness will return magic, therefore it costs less. But my goal is to not use shields very much and just to use mobility and killing the ads fast over shielding and just kind of prolonging the inevitable. Siphoning attacks, great for sustain. I usually buff it in between rounds. Yes, it's nice for the magic, but with Swallow Soul costing so little, you don't really run out of magic that often. I'm more benefit from the return stamina from blockcasting and bashing. As I said, Inner Light's double barred, Blockade of Fire. I like this one better, it lasts 8 seconds, which is the same as Crippling Grass, so they line up better on boss fights. Sap Essence. Another option is you can run either Twisting or Refreshing Path. Personally, I like Sap Essence. It gives you your spell power buff on the earlier rounds if you want to save on potions. There's quite a few rounds where you get swarmed by ads, and I just prefer to spam Sap Essence to kind of bring them all down at the same time, plus it heals you. It would be even more useful if my back bar was also sharpened. It would hit a lot harder since they buffed the armor on everything in the arena with the last patch. But what can you do? I'll eventually get it. And Shooting Star, the ultimate that I always use. Ice Comet is a bit more damage, however, Shooting Star gives you the magic, gives you ultimate back for each enemy you hit. You get more meteors, especially when it comes into something that I've talked about in my previous 2 videos on the guide. When you're dropping your meteor and you want to then use Soul Harvest as soon as possible right after to increase your damage by 20% for 6 seconds. If you use Meteor, Shooting Star instead of Ice Comet, you're going to get at least 10 ultimate because you're going to hit the boss, if not more because of ads. Drink a potion. This only has an ultimate cost of 50. You're over halfway there, right there. So that's really helpful in that regard. Alright, so moving more into skills. So you're going to want all the Destro passives, all the light armor passives. I'm using 511, so at least you want the heavy armor passives to get more health. Now I have them all, even these ones, 5 or more pieces. That's because I was playing around with the sap tank, but if you're just wearing 511, you don't need those. If you are a vampire, you want your recovery, and then you want to put points into here so you don't take as much damage. Major skill, you want all of the passives. This one's really good. Empowers, makes your next attack hit. And just for the sustain for max magic, magic recovery, this one, duration of all major skilled abilities will make, you know, all your dots stay on the ground longer from the major skill. Fighter's Guild, what you really want is this one, 9 extra ultimate. The whole arena is Daedra for the most part, so it's going to help you with your ultimate gain that much more. Undaunted, I'm wearing 511. You want this one, it increases your max stat pools. It's the bottom one. The top one, it's a solo arena, you're not going to be able to activate any ally synergy, so that one doesn't matter. As you can see, I'm a high elf. Other best option would be a dark elf. Breton's also good, but it's slightly less damage. High elves have the elemental talent, and dark elves have just straight to flame. But I'm using Infernal Staff and Shooting Star, which is all flame damage, so all the elemental damage I'm doing is flame anyways. Magic recovery, high elf, I kind of like that, just a little bit more sustain, and you get 1% more max magic, which isn't much compared with the dark elf. Alchemy, so I am using potions for my spell power buff, therefore you're going to want medicinal use all the way, making them last 47 seconds. And the potions that I'm using are these ones. Just major sorcery. I have Inner Light double barred, so save yourself a reagent. You don't need to get spell crit from here. Food I'm using is Bystat, Health, and Magic. Champion 150, but it doesn't have to be this one. Anyone, that's just Bystat for Health and Magic. Speaking of champion, last thing I'm going to go over is champion points. So there is a calculator actually to tell you where you should allot your champion points in the blue tree. It was created by Asari, who many of you may know is kind of the forerunner in Sorc DPS, but it applies across all classes really. I might make a video on how you figure out and plug it into the calculator on Xbox. It's not as exact as PC because you don't have all of the trackers, but this is what I have. So I have 46 in Elfborn, 100 in Elemental Expert, 13 in Spell Erosion. For a while I ran 19 in Spell Erosion, and I liked that as well. I don't want to switch my champion points between solo and PvE content, and if you have 19 and you're using a Sharpen in your front bar with the tank doing what the tank's supposed to do, that sort of thing, with 19 you end up having lost champion points because the armor rating will already be at 0. You'll already have enough penetration. Therefore, I decided just to drop this down to 13. The other big source is light armor passives, along with your sharpened weapon. I think it's 4884 and the sharpened weapon's 5280, plus a puncture, plus a crusher enchant. You see where I'm heading with those. Thaumaturge, so I do have the 2 dots plus Moon Meteor is also a dot. Therefore I have 28 points. Other classes who are more dot or channeled base is going to want to have that a bit higher. So I'm a red tree. I have a few points in light armor focus, just to get my resistance, my physical resistance a bit higher because that's what's quite low. Thick-skinned, it's really just for the flame dots, or even the poison dot in round 7. I just have a few points in there. They're not necessary, but I like them in there. Quick recovery. So since I'm not using Healing Ward or any other healing method, no healing potions or anything like that. I have my quick recovery up, and the majority of my healing is coming from Swallow Soul. I am a vampire, so my health recovery is basically nothing. Or Sap Essence. Bastion, I have a little bit there. Like I said before, I don't want to use my shield very often, but when I do, I want it to be that much better. And the rest of my points are into Hardy and Elemental Defender. I think this is kind of a good split for the majority of the game. In Maelstrom in particular, I usually focus the archers, for example, so anything that does physical damage first. So that's another reason why I have less than a Hardy. And again, I'm a vampire, so helps out with flame damage. In here, so again, Magician, reduced costs. If you're a class that your abilities cost a lot, this is a lot more important. So this is more important for using Force Pulse. But something like Swallow Soul, where the cost of the ability isn't that much, you can get away with just having more in regen. So I have a pretty much even split here between the Arcanist and the Magician. Another reason is I'm a high elf, so I already get recovery. So I just like to kind of add them all together, and it'll beef it up. And those are champion points. Alright, so that's about it. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and feel free to subscribe. Thank you.